Hello, everybody, and welcome to SideQuests, a video game podcast about entertaining and enriching conversations. I'm one of your questers, Bobby, and I'm here with Sky.
Hi, everyone.
And Cody.
Hello.
Hello. Tech issues abound today. Getting this thing started. Cody has a new microphone, so that was one thing, which is great, though. We got a new microphone in the house. And then my internet was being weird for the live stream, which is twitch.tv/MissAdventureland every Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. But we're here. We're good now. It's good. We're good to go. Hopefully everything stays all together. I think we're going to be good. Hope everyone's doing well today. How are you guys doing?
Pretty good. Can't complain. Yeah. Good for Monday.
Sky, you had a nice little weekend, right?
I did, yes. I went to Fan Expo Canada from Ontario. So we hold one every year in Toronto. And I got to meet Joseph Quinn, who plays Eddie Munson in the new season of Stranger Things.
What? Really?
And you guys, he was so cute and he was so sweet.
Goodness.
I also got to meet, oh my God, he's the Jaeger pilot in Pacific Rim. What's his name? Oh my God.
Which one?
He's really cute too.
Charlie Hunnam?
Oh, Charlie, yeah.
Okay.
I was melting. Like
yeah.
Dude. And they're both, anyways, it took like 3.5 hours to meet both of them. But Joseph Quinn, so normally they have a room where you can like meet all the celebrities. So it's like this one big room with a bunch of chairs and tables and stuff. But he wasn't there. And I was like, this is really weird. So I kind of asked like somebody who was in the know, and I was like, why isn't he in this room? Is it because his lineup's going to be too busy? No, apparently a fan like ran at him. And like for security reasons, they had to move him into like a secure room in the basement to do his like meet and greets and stuff. And I was like, come on, guys, like, come on. Show a little decorum.
Oh my goodness.
That's crazy.
We don't be touching people. Like it doesn't,
No.
It's not good. No.
Yeah.
So, but it was fun. I also got some cool prints. I always go to get the art. I have art all over the place in my house. It's very classy anime video game stuff. And yeah, it's just fun to walk around. I get to take a lot of pictures. I get to pose with stuff. I'm like huge into that like social media end of it. And I don't know. It's like euphoria for me. I love conventions. I mentioned that in the last podcast. So I had a good time.
Man, I haven't been to a convention in a long time. I mean, even before the pandemic, I think it was a couple years since I had been to one. So it's been at least 5 years, I think, since I've been at a convention.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. I mean, we used to, for talking comics, used to go to the New York Comic Con every year and work it, like seriously work it. Like I would have like, I would in the 3 days, I would do like 30 interviews.
Holy jeez, dang. Like you used to interview people that were there to like comic book artists and stuff for like the podcast?
Yeah. Like I would like, you would before the con would start, you'd get like emails from PR people for like the different companies. Marvel didn't really do a lot of like interviews there. Like they didn't have a big presence there. Like as far as like the comic side goes, like as far as like writers and stuff like that, a lot of the time, except for like panels and stuff, they would have panels, but they wouldn't really have maybe people available to interview like through Marvel. But Image, Dark Horse especially. Dark Horse was like, we have 1 million books and 1 million writers. We want you to interview all of them. So I would always interview a ton for them. I would interview a bunch for IDW, and then also you just walk around Artist Alley and sort of like go like, okay, like, hey, can you, I love to do an interview with you. Like, can you do that? Oh yeah, come back at this time. And then I come back with my little like recorder and microphone and we talk for a little while. And the last couple of years, DC did a bunch of like stuff. So they'd have like a place where you'd go and interview people. Usually it was more like for the Vertigo side of things, but you got to talk to some cool people there. Oh yeah, Valiant Comics as well would have a big like interview slate. And yeah, it was really just like, okay, like I got 5 interviews in the morning, and then I've got like an hour break, and then I've got 5 more interviews in the afternoon, and like also I want to go to this panel. Like we like seriously worked it.
Oh dang.
Like you know, like we would interview a ton of people and do a ton of coverage and stuff like that. And one year I had somebody coming around who was like filming it, so I filmed all the interviews in one of the ones, and that was like a lot. It was a lot.
Oh man.
Yeah.
No,
Dang.
that's definitely working it,
Yeah.
like Justin mentioned.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
I'd love to be able to do that at a convention one day, but right now I just go as like a psycho fan posing in front of cosplayers and stuff. So one day we'll advance to that stage.
there was one day where I couldn't go because stuff had come up. I don't remember what it was. And Justin, who is in the chat right now, mentions that one of this Comic-Con was one of the first times Justin and I ever really spent a lot of time together, because we went in together on the train, took the train home together, and the next day I couldn't come in, so I was like, Justin, I've got these like 5 interviews, can you cover them for me? And Justin was not happy that I asked him to do
no.
Oh no.
It's amazing.
He was like not very happy I asked him to do that. But it was cool. It was always a very cool experience to do it. But it definitely would get like burned out after a while. So this is SideQuests. And if you're listening to this on your podcast platform of choice, please rate and review us. Apple Podcasts is the best place to do that. If you possibly can. If you're watching the archive on YouTube, like the video, please, and subscribe if you haven't on the channel. And spread the word about the show. We want to get out to as many people as possible. Every week on the show, we do a topic. That's kind of our big thing. And this week, we are talking about our most anticipated games for the rest of the year. The 3 of us all have 3 that we kind of picked that we are most excited about. But you know, we'll talk about some others as well. We'll run down some lists. And then we have some listener entries about what they're most excited about. And I think there'll be some crossover there, because there just is not that many games coming out for the rest of the year.
It's surprising how easy it was for me to make that list, and how much overlap there was with viewer and listener answers, because like you said, there's just it's slim pickings. Next year's gonna be cool though.
Yeah,
looking forward to that.
I mean, I think like October of this year is like pretty stuffed with stuff, and then other than that, it's pretty light. But there's so much stuff moved, you know, into next year, that like you said, next year's gonna be jam packed, and they're already filling up February again of next year, just like they did this year. Oh my gosh, you should have spread out those games a little bit. Spread out the games so we don't have the same situation. We have to have 6 giant games come out in February, and then no games for 6 months. Like that's what happened this year.
Crazy.
But I mean, the good news for those games in February next year is that there won't be an Elden Ring coming out in
true.
February, so they won't get overshadowed. It won't. I mean, that would have been the time for Horizon to come out. So it once again did not run up into one of the best games of all time coming out like a week after it came out.
You know what? That's happening this year too with Sonic. It's coming out like a day before or after Ragnarok, and they've already discounted the price because they're like,
it's coming out the same. It's coming out the same day.
Screwed up.
I think it's coming out the same day, isn't it?
I think it's the day before or after. I don't think it's the same day.
I think it's the day before.
Yeah.
Because I remember someone being like, I have a day to review Sonic before I have to play God of War for review at IGN. And I was like, that sucks.
Yeah. It's already discounted, apparently. Like the, Green just said it's the day before.
Yeah, the 8th. Okay.
What a disaster. Why would you even try and contend with Ragnarok? I just don't get it.
I mean, they're different audiences.
Oh, sort of.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Like, we're all adults who have experienced Sonic throughout our entire lives. But Sonic, if you don't have kids, you do not understand how popular Sonic is with kids. Like, it is insanely popular with kids. And kids don't care about God of War. So there's definitely like,
he's in Fortnite though. I don't know.
Oh no, wait, he is?
Oh yeah. I own him. So I mean, kids might be like, I like this guy. Oh, they made a game based off the Fortnite guy.
Yeah.
Oh
god. Well, Justin tells this story that Ryu was in, he was in Fortnite, and his son wanted Ryu in Fortnite, And Dustin said, like, you don't even know who Ryu is. And he goes, yeah, Dad, he's the guy from Smash.
That's funny. That's funny. That's good.
That's actually like
gosh.
alarming, but so funny. You're so right.
Yeah. But yeah, no. So I mean, look. I mean, it's weird that those two big games are coming out basically on the same day. But again, there's a big disparity in audience. Like the God of War game is for people like 15 and older. I guess I'd probably assume. And the Sonic game is for people like people from like 4 to however old. So there's a big
I just hope it's as wholesome as when Doom and Animal Crossing came out around the same
Mhm.
time. I wanted like memes of Sonic and Kratos like bro fisting.
Yeah,
That'd
but
be so good.
Sonic is not as wholesome as Animal Crossing.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
he did kiss a human lady, so he's not
Oh,
as,
you're
he's not
right.
as wholesome as
You're
Animal
right.
Crossing.
I mean, Sonic kind of has that like sexy, weird bat character, so like maybe it's appealing to. I don't know.
The Sonic side characters.
Idris Elba
Yeah.
did play Knuckles, so
He did.
There's some sex appeal there.
10 out of
right?
10.
Yeah.
10 out of 10.
And then I remember someone asked him like, "Are you gonna make your Sonic, your Knuckles sexy?" And he's like, "No." And they're like, "We'll be the judge of that." Idris."
He failed if that was his goal to not make it sexy. Like what a God.
That man can't help it. He can't.
He can't. It's the vibrato in his voice. So good.
So yeah, so we're gonna talk about some of the games that we're most excited about that are coming out for the rest of the year. And I will start out. Oh, Justin brings up a good point. I forgot what year was it? 2016, 2017, 2017. Mario Odyssey, AC Origins, and Wolfenstein: The New Colossus all came out on the same day.
Packed.
On the same day.
It was a crazy year.
That's a nuts. I mean, that was an amazing year. 2017 is one of the best years in games ever. But anyway, let's talk about the games we're most excited for. This was like, I think I brought this topic up, so I'll start, especially because my first game comes out tomorrow when we're recording this, which is a game called Immortality, which is by Sam Barlow, who directed and made Her Story and Telling Lies, which are two FMV mystery games. This is another game by the same guy, Sam Barlow. It's coming out on Game Pass. It is basically the story is of a woman who comes to Hollywood, like old Hollywood, to make movies, and she makes a bunch of movies and they get lost, and she gets murdered or she disappears. And so you're basically going through these clips of these old movies and trying to piece together, like from the actual clips of the movies and behind the scenes of what happened to her in her life. And you can actually go, okay, like I'm watching this one clip and I see that there's like this scarf in it or whatever. And you can like select the scarf and it will bring up all the clips that have like that scarf in it. Basically, this is like, and then piece together this mystery. This is sort of what he always does. If you haven't played Her Story or Telling Lies, Her Story is a game about a woman who is accused of murder. She's being interrogated, and you're sort of like searching through the archives of these videotapes of this person. And you can only do so by searching for words. So you search like murder, and it'll bring you like the first 8 results that come up with the word murder in the transcript for that thing. Then you watch the clip, and it'll be like a short clip where she says the word murder. And then you search them through, and you're trying to find, but you can't search the clips chronologically. So you have to try to figure out like what comes before what and what comes when, and you're trying to piece together what happens. The Telling Lies is a similar thing. You're sort of like searching and looking for keywords or key moments or key dates, and you're trying to figure out and piece together a mystery from these like basically Skype conversations. Essentially, is what Telling Lies is. And then this is this kind of like old movie thing.
So it's going to be like Telling Lies in that it's like live action, because I loved that. That was, I thought, so cool, and you felt a little bit more of like a connection to the characters because they weren't just caricatures. Like it felt like a soap opera. It was really neat. I really liked Telling Lies.
Yeah. It's a full motion video. It's all actual people filmed. So it's one of the game I'm looking forward to the most for a long time. And it's supposed to be out earlier in the summer, and it got delayed until August 30th. And I cannot wait to play it. Her Story is one of my favorite games of all time. I really liked Telling Lies. I didn't like Telling Lies as much as I liked Her Story, but I think he's just, there's a lot of FMV games that are happening right now. Most of them are fun, sort of like low budget, sort of campy, like mystery things that happen. He's the only person who really, really works like, sometimes he's working like in a very serious, like earnest tone to this FMV work. And so it's very special when he puts out a game. So I'm very excited for this. He also directed, if anybody played Silent Hill Shattered Memories back on, it was on the Wii and the PS2. It was sort of like a faux remake of the first Silent Hill game. Sam Barlow worked on that game as well. He was the director of that game as well before he went off and did his own thing. So
interesting.
very good narrative director. But that's my first one. Cody, why don't you tell us one of the games that you're most excited about?
Yeah, one of my first ones is gonna be Evil West. My brother sent this to me about a month ago. He was like, "Hey, this looks like a game that's like right up our alley." And I actually just found out it got delayed to November, and I think like November is just going to be a very packed month for me, it seems. So Evil West is it reminds me of Darksiders a lot, but set in like a weird, excuse me, like post-apocalyptic, like old Western sort of a vibe. You play as a vampire hunter, and you are really just trying to rid the Wild West of evil. And it's got seal trees. It's like very action packed. Like you are rolling around, you're doing little special abilities where you can like target at characters like certain body part and shoot it off. Like in some of the gameplay footage they've showed off, you hop over a fence and triggers like a battle at like a saloon, and these like vampires are just charging at you. And the main thing is that it's got co-op, and like that's something I'm really looking forward to. It's got a lot of style, like the character. The name is Jesse. He just kind of seems like almost like a James Marston kind of character, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun to kind of get in there and play a game with my brother. Uh, I'd say also like it really reminds me of like Gears of War and its playstyle.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm definitely on board with that. I think it looks like a lot of fun. So
Yeah.
excited for it. I'm bummed it got delayed because I think it was supposed to come out in September, but now I gotta wait till November to play it. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you don't get a lot of straight up third person shooters, it's like anymore. Like a lot of obviously third person, like, action games, but not a lot of straight up shooters anymore. Yeah, this game looks really cool. You know what it reminds me of? Do either of you remember a game called Shadows of the Damned that came out like in the Xbox 360 era? It was it was a collaboration between oh my god, the Resident Evil 4 guy, and oh god, what's the guy?
The Resident Evil 4 guy, like the director?
Mikami? Yeah, I can't remember his name.
Okay.
I can't remember his name right now. Hold on a second. I'm looking it up right now because I have to remember.
It's gonna drive us crazy.
Yeah, okay, yes. It's Suda51 and Shinji Mikami. That's who it was.
Okay.
With music by the freaking Silent Hill, the Yamoka, the Silent Hill composer. It was a really weird, crazy ass game that EA put out. I think it was like 2011 or something like that. It reminds me very much of this game in a good way. Flying Wild Hog is the developer. They made the new Shadow Warrior games as well. So they've got a kind of a flair for good action and stuff like that. They also put out Trek to Yomi this year. I don't know if they developed that or if they just published that. So
yeah.
I was gonna say Suda51 like puts out bangers. Like that guy's best. He's so fun.
And this was in the era of when he had put out like No More Heroes and a couple of other things that were like, everyone was sort of like, if he could just get like a budget, like I think he'd make a really big. And then he got all these budgets from a couple of developers. Like he made he made Shadows of the Damned. He made Lollipop Chainsaw. He made like a couple of games in that era. and they gave him budgets, and they were just as janky and weird as his like low budget games. They just looked better, and it was just a hilarious thing where like, this is just the kind of games that this guy makes. Like,
What he does, it's his like calling card.
yeah,
Just
absolutely,
weird shit.
absolutely. Just make a bunch of weird shit is like it's the stuff that he does. So, yeah, because there was like a 3 or 4 year period where like he got a bunch of projects like that he worked on that none of them really ever sold well. He was never able to like break into that next sort of level. But anyway, Sky, what is one of your games you're most excited about?
So I'm going in order of release date.
Okay.
So the one that's coming out first, is September 15th. It's Metal Hellsinger.
Okay.
I'm so excited about this game. So for anyone who doesn't know what it is, it's kind of like Doom-esque in terms of its gameplay, but you get bonus points and your score multiplier by shooting your gun or swinging your sword in tune to the soundtrack that's playing. And the more your modifier goes up, the more of the soundtrack plays. And it crescendos, and it just sounds amazing because the gameplay also adds beats and like enhances the sound of that music. So it takes like two things I just freaking love about like super gamey video games. Crazy gameplay. I love Doom. I love games that have the same energy as Doom, and the music. If the game has a kick-ass killer soundtrack, I'm getting it day one. Like, you have to know that. Even if it plays like shit, if it's still going to be fun to me because it appeals to one of my more like prominent senses. Like, if the music is good, it really, really makes up for a bad story for me, or it makes up for some bad gameplay. It doesn't fully erase the sin of either one, but it helps for sure. So, not to mention the soundtrack for this game has got some, it's got some good people to it. So it's got, this is me just, I'm a metalhead in case people don't know that. I love metal music. I'm into punk. I'm into like, I just love that stuff. Anything with like a heavy guitar riff in it, or bass and drums and stuff. I'm like, this is why I get home so fast, because like my soundtrack in the car is like, you're doing 140 on the highway. Like, there's no other way to get around it. The adrenaline is just, it's there, it's spiking. You got to get home. You're going to get there fast. So you got Serge Tankian from System of a Down. He did a song for it. You got Matt, I think it's Matt Heafy. I'm not good with names, sorry.
Right,
But
Heafy,
he's from
yeah.
Trivium and another kick-ass band. And then you got like Alyssa White Glues, who does the song from the demo. And she's from Arch Enemy, and she's got like amazing clean vocals, but she's also got those growls, and like
Yeah.
they are top notch. Chef's kiss. I haven't played the demo, but I've watched people do like high scores on the demo, and like when her soundtrack, it's the first one like from the demo. I assume it's also from the first level. When it ramps up to like its crescendo and it's like going in time with the music, with the gameplay and everything like that, it is like adrenaline in the veins. I cannot wait for this game. I don't care how long it is. I don't care how it reviews. I know I'm going to enjoy it just because it's my type of game, you know? Ugh, I'm so excited.
People seem to like it from the demo. Cody has a real issue with the fact that it's a rhythm game.
Dude,
I'm just
I love
like
them.
I also love metal. Like, so I was super excited for this game when I saw it. It was on that's the demo thing that they were doing that one month. And I just suck at rhythm games. Like, I am not good at them. And so for me, it was just me kind of playing the level. And like the only time I was hearing the music is when they gave me the freebie bonus points because I couldn't get my like sword swing or shots in tune. And it's like I was like, oh, like this is really cool. Just I suck at it. So
Mm.
but yeah, I mean, if you're good at rhythm games, I'm sure it's gonna be great. But yeah,
I'm huge into rhythm games. I used to play like DDR on the PS2 was like my main form of exercise when I was a kid. I was kick ass at DDR. Like, I got the rhythm in my veins. I got it in my blood. I can't play an instrument. I've never tried because of my nails. I don't want to give them up, you know? They're so pretty. But I'm sure if I did, I'd probably be pretty good at it. Like, I kick ass at rhythm games. So I'm really looking forward to this one.
The only rhythm games I've ever been good at are like the plastic instrument ones. Like I'm pretty okay. I was pretty okay at like Guitar Hero and Rock Band and stuff like that. But anything that any of these games, like what's it called? Crypt of the Necrodancer / Cadence of Hyrule. Like I'm just just trash trash.
Fair enough.
Cannot do them at all. So yeah, so I feel your pain, Cody, but I also I like metal music, but I'm not super into it, so I'm not like it's not a game that I feel like I'm missing out on, you know.
Totally.
So but I'm looking forward to hearing what you think of it, Sky, when it actually
Totally. Yeah, I'll
releases.
actually try and record some gameplay for the channel.
Cool.
I wish my internet could like stabilize so I could Twitch stream it because I
Mhm.
feel like that'd be the type of game I would just love to gush over live. But we'll see. See how that goes. But definitely
Yeah.
gonna record some footage
Yeah.
because if I get good at it, then like I'm never gonna stop. I'm gonna perfect my skill at it because like those adrenaline type games are just they're the ones for me. I
Yeah.
just love them so much.
Though on Twitch it might be a nightmare because it is like all like licensed music.
Yeah.
So it might
I would hope they would
don't even
have a
think
workaround. I don't
way.
know. You think?
There is no way that all of those artists and all of their labels signed off on that music being like you can use it wherever you want. Like there's no way. There's just no way.
See, which game was it? Was it it was one of those open world ones. Was it Grand Theft Auto or something? Or was it Saints Row? One of those games had a streamer mode.
Yeah, that just takes
where,
the music
or
out.
maybe it was
Cyberpunk had it, yes.
Yeah, 2077. Where it like censored the music.
It just
and
takes
I
the
was
music
like,
out.
That sucks, man. Like that sucks.
It's I mean, I don't blame the developers for doing it because they're just trying to give a solution to a problem that exists, but the fact that that problem exists at all is so stupid.
Yeah.
Like it's so stupid that there is not like a like, hey, like this is like live performance, like like just don't you shouldn't your channel shouldn't be getting taken down. Like even if Twitch was like, okay, yeah, you can live stream this, but once it's done, your VOD goes away. Like you cannot have a VOD of this. Fine, absolutely. But the fact that like you're in danger of like your channel being erased because a game that you played has a song in it is just crazy. And they still
I'd love to
figured it out.
hear what everyone else thinks about the DMCA issue as well, because I know a lot of people that get really, really, really into that discussion.
Yeah.
So I'd love to know what people think about that. So let us know.
It was hilarious when Life is Strange came out last year, but the True Colors. Those games always have like a soundtrack that's very tied into like the narrative. And I watched a couple people play it with streamer mode on, and there are times where they just like swap in like different songs, like they swap in like not like, you know, unlicensed songs, and sometimes it's just silent. So there's this scene where these two people, like this brother and sister, like kind of rock out to Creep by Radiohead, and it's just, if you do it in streamer mode, it's just silent. It's just them like dancing around and like and stuff.
Oh,
and there's just
no.
no
the effect
music.
is gone.
It's no
That's
music.
such a
It's
shame.
crazy. It's crazy that they do it.
Crazy.
Anyway, so there's a game that I'm definitely very excited about, that I'm probably most excited about, but I'm gonna let Cody talk about that game because I know it's on Cody's list. It's got to be your number one, Cody. It's got to be the game you're waiting for.
Oh, I mean,
I think it might be on all three of our lists.
Yeah.
I think it's on all three.
One,
So I
Yeah.
should-
So I'm going to talk about. I subbed it out for something else so that we don't have to talk about it 3 times.
Oh, okay. Well, then we'll double up because I feel like it's probably the one I put on. So,
there's a game called like Somerville that is coming out this year. It's from Playdead devs, so people, you know, Inside and Limbo. They had some people split off from that studio and go make other things, basically. And Somerville is one of those things. It is a very in that vein type of game. It looks like a side scrolling, you know, sort of like 2D puzzle platformer. And it looks like it's an alien invasion story, like a family trying to get away from an alien invasion. It has like kind of like War of the Worlds type of like vibes to it from the trailer. The trailer is amazing. It's been at a couple of conferences. It has a 2022 release date. There's no exact date for it yet. But I'm assuming it's going to drop probably, you know, you'll know a week before, right? Like, hey, like this is coming and it'll be out this week, and it's going to be on Game Pass day one. I've been, you know, waiting since Inside for whatever Playdead's going to do next. And we don't know yet. We saw like that little tease, that little like image of what was coming, but nothing else, nothing yet. Um, so this is like one of the few things that we have as far as like something in that vein that I'm really looking forward to playing. So yeah, it's called Somerville. It should be out this year. Really, really looking forward to it. So that's one of my other most anticipated games of the year.
So is that an indie game? I don't think I've ever heard of that
Yes,
one.
it's an indie game. They've shown it off at a couple of Xbox conferences, and I think it was actually at one of the Keeley presentations, I believe. I don't know if it was a Game Awards or a Summer Games Fest or an opening night live. But yeah, it's definitely been at that. And like I said, it's gonna be on. It was at the Xbox conference last year, not this year. They had it up on their like Game Pass like graphic where they were like, here's everything coming to what's coming to Game Pass in the next year, and Somerville was on that list, but they didn't actually show it this time around.
Okay, that's probably why I don't recognize it.
Yeah, but watch the trailer because it looks fantastic.
Oh, I'm down. I'm gonna watch the trailer after this.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
All right, Cody.
My next one I'm like begrudgingly excited for, and it's Gotham Knights.
Okay,
Mm.
okay.
I don't know. I have not been impressed with like anything they've shown off about this game. Like
I thought that trailer they showed at ONL opening night live was at least it had me more interested than the other trailers that they've shown.
yeah. So like one of my favorite DC comic book characters is the Red Hood, and everything that they're doing with that character in this game, I don't like at all. Like
Oh no.
the weird like he died, so he's connected to the spirit realm, so he can spirit jump around. Just give him a lighter, like just
What?
give him a zip line. I don't care. Just like yeah. But then like they showed off some footage of like gameplay, and it just looked like janky. And like playing the other Arkham games, like I felt like that combat was like methodical and rhythmic. And like watching what I watched the other day, I was like, I don't know about this. This doesn't look like and like the story stuff seems like I like that the Court of Owls are in it. I like that they're kind of giving spotlight to not mainstream stuff. I mean, it's somewhat mainstream because like that run of Batman did bonkers numbers back in the day. But like, I'm excited for that stuff. And then like, am I crazy or did they announce that like you can only co-op with two people?
No, it's only 2-person co-op.
Yeah, I
That's
saw that too.
ridiculous. That you would invest in a game where there's 4 characters, but you
mean,
can only co-op with 2.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess like my guess for the game, and again, I don't know. My guess for the game is that each like chapter is going to feature 2 characters like kind of working together, and it's probably going to change as it goes. That's my guess anyway. It's going to be like this is your Robin and Batgirl chapter, and then this is your like whatever Red Hood and Nightwing chapter or whatever. Like that's what I'm guessing anyway.
So correct me if I'm wrong. Is this is the one that can't you just play the same character? Didn't I see that? I thought I saw that in a trailer.
Can you do can you do one character through the whole entire story?
No, I meant like when in co-op, 2 people can play the same character. So like you could be like 2.
Oh, really?
I'm not sure.
2 Nightwings or something. I swear I've seen that.
I don't know about that.
Okay.
I don't know.
I'm gonna check into that because I remember seeing something to that effect, and I was like, "Oh, that's kind of weird."
That would be very weird if that was the case.
Yeah,
that'd be extremely weird if that was the case.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. But I could have sworn I saw some like gameplay trailer that had that. But yeah, no. Do you think it's like a case of them biting off a little bit more than they can chew? Maybe that's why it looks a little janky, or
I think like my fear is that like, and like as someone who likes that game somewhat, I worry this is like gonna go down the Marvel's Avengers route where like the story stuff is really good, but like them doing this like you can do co-op and like go take on like little boss areas and get gear and upgrade your gear and stuff. Like I worry that that's going the Marvel Avengers route where like they're trying to do a good story game but also a co-op loot game that's just not going to feel good in the long run.
But you know what? I just checked it. It was that game. So yeah, you can play 2 of the same character. Yeah,
that's so strange.
I just googled it, and apparently they're saying, like to that effect, it's not designed as a. They're saying it's not designed as a game as service, whatever that means. So I guess they want like DLC characters in and stuff like that. But from what I'm seeing, yeah, the headline is 2 Batgirls, sure, and they won't be tethered together, whatever that means.
Well, because it's
Um,
like it's like Arkham City or Arkham Knight. It's
Yeah.
like an open world, Gotham City. So you could like go off and do different tasks
Oh.
at the same time. Is probably what they're saying. And apparently you can mix and match the characters however you want. So there is no like set mission like for this character or that character.
Okay, so that's good to confirm at least. Yeah, but I
Um,
wonder if they're gonna like try and explain that
It
away, like story
does say
wise.
developers
I don't
want
know.
players to be able to make it as weird as they wish. Is what
Oh,
it
okay.
says.
Fuck does that mean?
It just means they can play it however they want. Like they could put two characters,
Okay.
do the same characters in there, whatever.
Just imagine developer Jim going, "We want to be weird." What's that mean, Jim? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
Like,
Oh, Jim is
I don't know.
Suda 51 now.
yeah. This is the developer who made what's it called? The prequel Arkham game, Arkham Origins. Right? Yes. Warner Brothers Montreal. And that game was fine. Like that game, like the main problem with that game was mostly its story was like, its boss fights and sort of like progression was sort of like borked. It just didn't flow as well as some of their games. But the weirdest thing about this whole situation is that like for years, the rumor was they were making a Suicide Squad game because there's a thing in Arkham Origins where you fight Deathstroke and it's like the best. It happens at the very beginning of the game, and it's like by far the best battle in the game. And there's like a post-credit sequence like in the game where Deathstroke is like in jail, and like Amanda Waller or whatever comes to visit him or whatever, and it's like, okay, there's gonna be a Suicide Squad game, and Warner Bros. Montreal is gonna make it, and now Warner Bros. Montreal is making the Gotham game, the whatever, and the Rocksteady's making the Suicide Squad game, which is just very weird at this point.
Rocksteady, that's interesting.
Yeah, the Arkham, the Arkham Knight, Arkham City, Arkham whatever developers are making the Suicide Squad game.
Okay.
But sorry, Cody, we hijacked your
No,
your
just,
thing.
I love the Arkham games so
Mhm.
much, and like I want to play as Jason and like be the Red Hood. Like that's like
Mhm.
I loved Knight for that because you got to play like little mini missions as him,
Mhm.
and like I don't know, but like everything I've seen about this game just like rubs me the wrong way, but like I'm still excited for it as like a comic book fan.
Mhm.
And like it's got co-op, so I'm sure I'm gonna be able to play with somebody.
Yeah.
But like I don't know. I think I'm like worried it's just not gonna be good, and I'm gonna be spending $70 on it. You know?
Ugh, and they're so expensive, these games these days, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to not feel like you wasted your money.
Yeah, I badly want to play as Robin and Nightwing and Batgirl, like, because there are people, I listen to sometimes people talk about the game and they're like, who cares about these characters? I just want to be Batman, and I'm like, I'm the opposite of you.
Yeah,
I love Batman. Don't get me wrong, but the best thing about Batman is all of these other characters. It has the second best Robin in it, so that's good. It has Tim Drake. He's great. The best Robin is Damian Wayne, hands down. Damian Wayne's the best Robin.
We will argue about this another time, Bobby.
Damian Wayne Damian Wayne is hands down the best Robin. Yeah, the best Robin storylines, hands down. But there's no one who competes at all. But I'm looking forward to playing as those characters. Honestly, I am more excited about this than I am about that Suicide Squad game. Even though Rocksteady has a much better track record and they've made all great games, there's just like everything they showed about Suicide Squad, I've been like, I just don't care. Like, I just don't care about this. Like, the weird ascension of the Suicide Squad into like this, like, it's gotta be everywhere.
Yeah.
Where I feel like it isn't. It's one of those things where they, when like movies try to make somebody a celebrity, and you're like, okay, we didn't ask for like, whoever in 7 movies in a year. Like, nobody asked for this. Nobody wanted Sam Worthington in 6 movies, in 6 huge action movies in a year. And I feel like they're doing the same thing with the Suicide Squad. It's like I understand the appeal in a lot of ways. Much of it is probably because Guardians of the Galaxy was so popular, and they feel like they can kind of do the same thing with it. And Suicide Squad's had some good comics, don't get me wrong, some good characters. Like, it's not about that. It's just about this, like, trying to make them like one of the pillars of the universe is just so strange to me. And also, like, the premise of the Suicide Squad game, I'm like, if any of these superheroes were evil, all of these Suicide Squad people would be dead in like a half a second. There's no way they would survive.
It's true.
There's
They're like the B-listers.
Yeah. Like they have those scenes with the Flash in that trailer. And I'm like, if the Flash was truly evil here, you would be dead. Like you wouldn't even see him. You wouldn't even see him, and like your bodies would be in molecules at the end of the time. So we have some gift. Cody, you just got gifted a sub.
Prolific, thank you so much for that.
For Prolific, thank you so much.
And I also think like the Suicide Squad thing is a proxy to like the popularity of Harley Quinn.
Yes, 100%.
Because
absolutely.
so like
that's 100% what it is. Like,
like
like
100%,
movies like
like
Margot Robbie and stuff. Like,
yes, yeah.
I'm sure they pitched a Harley Quinn game, and people were like, "Is there really enough story there to really do this?" And they were like, well, "What if we made a Suicide Squad game?" And they were like, "We're all more on board with that," you know, like
yeah.
So I feel like that's it. My camera's doing some crazy stuff right now.
It's all right. Don't worry about it.
But yeah. So yeah, Gotham Knights begrudgingly.
Yeah, I'm interested in Gotham Knights for sure. I have just no idea like what those reviews are going to be like.
That would be a fun one to do the game with, like a review guest.
We will do the review guest for it.
That would be like because that thing's going to be all over the place.
All over the place.
If we hadn't have missed that week that I had COVID, we would have guessed on Saints Row, and that would have been very interesting as well. Because
that would have been so interesting. Oh, it's a mixed bag.
I wouldn't even call it a mixed bag. It is getting destroyed. Like,
I haven't looked at it in a
while.
For
a AAA game, like it is like it's as low as any AAA game I've seen in the last, I don't know, 5 years, basically. Like,
my God, that is such a shame. Fall from grace, because like Saints Row used to be fun. Like,
yes, it used to be fun. All right, Sky, what's your next game?
Oh, okay. This will come as no surprise to anybody, but it's Bayonetta 3. I believe it's on October 28th, and I have that week off, so I'm gonna do. Ironically, I had that week off before, and then it came out on that week, and I was like, oh, this game was made for me. The developers were like, yeah, she's off that week. Let's just do that. Anyways, so people don't know anything about Bayonetta. It's a story about a witch named Bayonetta. She makes pacts with demons. They are summoned from her hair, which is also her bodysuit. So she's essentially running around half naked, like with like dragons and moths and butterflies and like panthers, and it's like a Devil May Cry game. High octane action. The music is really awesome. The characters are kind of flat, but they don't need to be anything other than flat because they are in service to the ridiculous story.
Well, I mean, she is not a flat character.
No, she's not flat. No.
She has a lot of personality.
She's a whole lot of like sass.
Yes.
And swag.
Yes.
And yeah, she's hot.
She's also buxom as well. Cody.
Anyways, so I'm not even gonna bother getting into the story of these games because they're nonsense. They make sense in the context of the universe in which they are presented, but I could never tell you what it's like on paper because you got to see it to believe it. They're totally ridiculous. But they're spectacle games. Like Bayonetta 2 starts off with you fighting a dragon the size of a skyscraper.
It's true. And
you sprout butterfly wings, which your deity is a butterfly, Madam Butterfly to be specific. And so she channels this demon she has this pact with so that she can fly up to this thing's jaw and smack it with her fist. It's ridiculous. These games are as energetic as they possibly can be. And the original creator of Devil May Cry, I think his name's Hideki Kamiya.
Yes.
He's the creator of this. He owns Platinum Games. He's like the director. And you can really see the influence there. That's his genre, you know, like that's his style of game. And they're so zany. Like I just read this one's about a multiverse. They're going to start tackling multiverse stuff. They can't even tell a coherent story to save their lives. But I'm here for it because it plays like silk. It sounds amazing. It's gamey. Like I love gamey video games. They aren't out there as often anymore. You kind of have to look more towards like third-party developers or indie developers to kind of get that experience, a gamey game. It just feels fun. Whereas these AAA developers are still fun, but they're more focused on like story and narrative and long experiences full of content, whereas like, Bayonetta is just let's go. Let's do it. It's
Yeah.
going to be start to finish, high energy nonsense. I love it. And they I don't know if it offended somebody, but they the nudity or the pseudo nudity, she's never fully nude. Like her bits are covered. Okay, so like whatever. But it's called naive angel mode,
Yeah.
which I thought was hilarious. So if you put naive angel mode, her bodysuit doesn't come off when she summons monsters.
Yeah.
And I think the effect is lost there.
I mean,
Because
yeah.
you need that.
I think that's directly. I think that is a direct thing because it's only on the Switch, so they gotta keep
for the little kids, I guess.
They gotta keep the. Well, it's what the director, what Kamiya said, which is hilarious, is he kind of said it's like it's for like when you're playing it on your TV and like your significant other walks in and you don't want to be embarrassed by the game you're playing. Like, like that's basically what it's for, is basically what he said.
Oh my god. So I actually it's funny because there's a lot of people who make a feminist argument against this game. They say it's like sexually objectified. I don't think it's like that. I think so there's a difference between sexuality and objectification. And I think this game has sexuality, but it doesn't have objectification. And I can go on and on about what the definition of those two things are and how they correlate to this type of character. But I'm as feminist as they come, and this character has never offended me.
Mm-hmm.
So there's something to be said for that. In terms of, like I said, she's too strong to be objectified.
Mm-hmm.
She's not written in that way. I could write a whole essay on it. But anyways, so this naive angel mode thing just kind of was funny to me when I saw it. I don't necessarily think censoring the character ruins the character, but I also think censoring the character takes away a piece of what that character is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting mode to include in that. I think it's cool.
Yeah. Just so people don't know, Kamiya is like one of the most like legendary game directors like in Japanese game history. Like he directed Resident Evil 2, he directed Devil May Cry, he directed Beautiful Joe, he directed Okami. Obviously the Bayonetta games, Wonderful 101, and now he's all the Platinum stuff. He runs Platinum, but like just one of the most like unbelievably
He's a legend.
legendary Japanese game developers you could possibly imagine. Worked like was like a programmer on the original Resident Evil in 1996. That's he's worked at Capcom for a long time. For a long time. He had this studio inside Capcom called Clover, which is who made they made Okami, and I think Beautiful Joe as well. And then back when Capcom was having a lot of trouble and was like basically shuttering a lot of stuff, like basically shut down Clover and fire everybody who worked at Clover, and everyone at Clover went and started Platinum Games. That's essentially what happened after that. All right, so my my last game of my 3 is the Callisto Protocol, which comes out in December.
Nice.
From Glenn Schofield's team, one of the creators behind Dead Space. Very obviously in all its marketing and all its trailers and everything is basically, very much saying like, hey, we are new Dead Space, basically. Which is hilarious because for a while I was like, oh wow, that's great, because like they don't make those games anymore. And then a month after the Callisto Protocol comes out, the Dead Space remake comes out from EA.
Yeah, Dead Space clone Domino.
Yeah.
Like it's just the thing now.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Now we're all scary space station games.
Space monster games,
yeah. But I think it looks great. It looks like it has a lot of that DNA in it. It also even has the whole like, one of the amazing things about Dead Space when it first came out was that it was in this time where immersive immersive UI was like a big thing. Like it was like, if you look at games from like 2001 to like 2009, there was this huge movement to like get rid of UI. Like, and you can see it in a lot of games that come out in that space, like where UI it starts to disappear, especially from like atmospheric, like more story based or horror games. You you look at like Silent Hill, right? Silent Hill 2, there's like no UI, in Silent Hill 2. And in this, they did the great things where they put the health meter on the back of his suit. Like, so it was like, it looked like a suit readout. every bit of UI existed within the world itself. So if you saw an ammo readout or whatever, it was like hologrammed off of his gun, all of this kind of stuff. And it seems like from everything they're showing from this game, they're doing the same thing in this, which they're trying to make everything sort of like live within the world that's there. Very, very cool looking. I love Dead Space and Dead Space 2. Dead Space 2, honestly, one of my favorite games of all time. And this looks like it has like a lot of that like set piece, big stuff happening as well. At Open Night Live, we saw this scene where the guy was like going down this like water slide basically inside this sewer. That feels very Dead Space 2 to me. Like Dead Space 2 definitely ratcheted up like the big moments over what Dead Space 1 did. Really looking forward to that game. Gonna be scary, gonna be intense, but I'm really into it. So yeah, that comes out on December 2nd on everything but the Switch, basically. So looking forward to that.
That one looks spooky AF.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Yeah. All right, Cody. I have no idea.
What could
No
it
idea.
be?
Right? What could it be? So my most anticipated for this year is gonna be World of Warcraft Dragonflight. No, I'm just kidding.
I was gonna say, wait, what? Are you serious?
No, I'm very excited for it. That's one of my honorable mentions. God of War Ragnarok. It's got to be.
Hell
I mean,
yeah.
I'm so excited to see where they end up taking Kratos and Atreus during this Norse mythology.
Mhm.
Ragnarok's a very big thing in Norse mythology. They've shown us Thor, and we got the reveal at the end of the last God of War game about who Atreus is.
Mhm.
And so I'm just kind of really excited to see like what all we do. And yeah, it's gonna be amazing. I mean, they're hyping it up, and I'm super hyped by it. So
Yeah. I'm still surprised at how little we've actually seen of
There's nothing out
of the
there.
game,
Yeah.
which is great. I mean, they don't need to show a lot. The last game was so successful and so popular and so successful in every way, right? Critically, commercially, and quality wise, that they don't need to show a bunch. But I am surprised at the restraint that they have shown not showing more. I'm sure we'll get another trailer
yeah.
before it comes out. We'll get some
Oh,
sort of
yeah.
gameplay trailer. It'll happen. They have to do it. They always do it. But the fact that we're only a month, 2 months out from the release date and we barely see anything, I think is really cool.
But even leading up to the 2018 game, like they didn't show too much off.
Yeah.
Like they showed very like basic stuff. Like there's a lot of stuff that they just never showed us, and like I kind of like that. Like usually
Yeah.
I'm like, no, show me everything, but like I'm like even more hyped right now by what little we've seen. I mean, obviously, like we know certain things are gonna happen. We think like we're gonna pick up Thor's hammer. Like it's bound to happen. I
That's gonna be so cool.
Oh, yeah,
Oh
I'm so
my
excited.
god.
I mean, I'm also like, I think we get another weapon, and like, I'm just excited to see what it's going to be. And like, I just want to know how they tie this up into a bow, and like where we go next. And I hope
Right.
they really talk about that.
Do you think it's going to end with some sort of like tease, like, oh, Kratos waking up in, I don't know, like Japan or something? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like,
It's just
I
like mythology hopping now.
yeah,
I'm so
yeah,
into that.
exactly.
Let's
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
I don't think hot take. I don't think Kratos makes it out of this game. I think
Oh.
he fights it, and I
I
think
don't
I know
know.
it's
That's
hard because like he's such an iconic
bold.
character.
I
But
don't
I think
know.
they're setting up Atreus to like take over that
Oh,
franchise.
like a passing of the
I
torch
mean,
kind of thing.
So,
I can see that.
story wise, that's perfectly satisfying and makes
yeah,
sense. From a corporate like IP handling situation, I cannot imagine that Kratos isn't in the next God of War game. You know what I mean? Like that, I totally agree with you. I think narratively that would be the most satisfying thing they could do.
Totally.
But I feel like even if they do that in this, they find some way of being like, and he was reborn, as the
Oh, that's a cop out. I
so
don't like that.
absolutely. But when you're talking about how corporations handle popular IP, like it's like what they're gonna do. If this game sells, 25 million copies, Sony is not gonna be like, yeah, well, we don't, because they never should have made a Last of Us Part 2, but The Last of Us sold really well, so they're like, make a second one now. You know what I mean? So it's like,
So many things to say about that
regardless
game.
of the quality, I'm not even talking about the quality of Last of Us Part 2. I'm just talking about from a narrative perspective from The Last of Us, which is like a perfectly contained,
it didn't need anything
great,
else.
mature story that didn't need to be IPized, into like a franchise. If they really do with that, I just can't believe they won't keep doing it, with God of War. But we'll see. Either that or Atreus is gonna look awful lot like Kratos by the end of this game. You know what I mean?
Well, I was gonna
You know what I
say,
mean?
yeah, because Ragnarok is the end of the world, so the game literally just might end the world. Like that just might be it. Game's over. Like the series is over. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean Ragnarok, like a lot of apocalypse stories, is not really about like the world being destroyed as much as it is
Like a
about
rebirth.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like it's more like that. So it's like the end of the Norse mythology, basically. But that's why it leaves it very open for it to be like, okay, now he's in wherever feudal Japan or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I really see them going with like Egyptian mythology from here.
Oh,
They definitely
I think
can
that
do that.
opens
Yeah,
up some
so
cool ass
cool.
doors.
There's
like
mythology, like folklore all over the world that they can dip into. Like
the only thing about the Egyptian mythology is like setting wise, it's similar to. It's gonna look kind of similar to the original games. You know what I mean? Not that those mythologies are similar at all, but the way that games show classical architecture and classical settings, they often like kind of look alike. So I mean, I think it would be a great one though. I think it'd be very cool to do
but
that.
hear me out. Kratos driving not Khonshu, Ra, the sun god, onto the top of a pyramid and killing him.
Of course.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Oh,
you should write the game.
Ra!
They should hire you as
just hire me, Sony. Come on.
Just screaming.
Yeah, I don't know. I really do think Kratos doesn't make it out of this game, and I do think that Atreus gets the white skin. I think that's something that carries over. I could see that. Obviously, I don't want that. Like, I love Kratos as a character, but I don't know. I feel like they really tease like the passing of the torch, and like Bobby has a great point that Sony probably wants their flagship character.
Yeah.
Like, if you think of Sony, you think of like Aloy, God of War, some other characters I can't think of off the top of my head right now.
Nathan Drake.
Nathan Drake. So, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm so excited, but I'm also just like, I'm bummed that this was originally supposed to be a trilogy, and now it's only going to be 2 games. And so I do wonder, like, did they cut some stuff that like,
or maybe they just realized there wasn't enough to do 3 games. Not everything has to be 3. That's the thing.
Fair.
For the last like 20 years, and it's like basically oddly Lord of the Rings fault, but it's like, even though that was written in the 50s or whatever, and it was a trilogy then, after that came out and was so successful, everything was like, well, there's gotta be 3. It happened to everything. Not that, obviously Star Wars very popular before that was 3, but like, I feel like it was since that time that it happened like that. All right, Sky, right? Your last game.
We're doubling up. It's Ragnarok for me as well.
Gotcha.
So I like that setting in those games in a different way. So I really like God of War. I'm not particularly good at God of War. Now, as somebody who is good at hack and slash games, that might be kind of shocking to hear. And someone who particularly enjoys that type of combat, it's not deep enough for me. So for that reason, I find that there's limitations on the things that I can and can't do in that type of in God of War games. You get your weapons, that's sure, you got your combos and whatever, but I find that like as somebody who's coming off of games like Devil May Cry and Bayonetta and stuff, the combat is a little bit flatter. And for that reason, I do find myself running out of options or sticking to a particular weapon, and that's to my detriment. And that's probably not the way you're supposed to play it, but I find that because the combat feels so thin, that's just how I end up latching onto it. So I do enjoy God of War games. But in particular, I'm really looking forward to, like you said, Cody, what they're going to do with these characters. Because I love Boy. Boy is a good character. I'd like to see because they kind of dropped him on like a bombshell at the end there, like Loki. You know, like what's going to happen with that? That's really interesting,
I
right?
guess we're spoiling God of War.
Sorry, spoilers.
For a 4-year-old game at this
It's
point.
still-
It's 4
I'm just
years old,
saying.
guys.
I
Come
know,
on.
I know.
Let's go.
I
It's
know.
been on it's not on Game Pass. No,
Oh,
It's on
no.
the
it's on PC
PlayStation.
now, right?
Well, it's on PC now. It's on the like I know it's on the PlayStation like PS Plus collection that you get when you're a
Okay.
PS5 owner
So,
or
like,
whatever, but I don't know.
It's accessible. Play the damn
It's
game,
very
guys.
accessible.
It's really
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Come on. And what's great about that one is you also don't really need to play the previous ones. It's kind of more of a
No.
self-contained narrative and adventure. You obviously won't have the nuance of those characters, but you will be able to enjoy it in the context
All
of that,
the
that full
nuance
narrative.
of Kratos
I know.
before God of War.
Listen,
Let it go,
there's
Molly.
a
Let it
little
go.
bit there. I think Cody would agree.
I would the one thing you will not the one thing that you will not the one moment that I think will not hit as hard if you don't know the previous games is the moment where he goes back and gets the blades of chaos.
The chaos blades.
Because that's the one moment where it's like and that's why like the God of War 2018 is so good because it recontextualizes moments from the previous games that I used to feel nothing for, but in those moments feel something for because of the way that game is able to sort of like contextualize what came before.
Yeah. But I was going to say, I really, really, really enjoyed Norse mythology insofar that it's actually part of my blood. So I'm half Italian on my dad's side, and I'm actually half European mutt on my mom's side. But most of it's actually from like Viking. Like if you could trace her bloodline back to Vikings, which is actually really neat. And she even looks like it. The woman is like she's tall, she's powerful looking, like she's a Viking through and through. We've had like bars on the East Coast that we've traced back to ownership of my mom's family on that side, hotels and stuff like that. They're settlers. Like they're straight up from that's their bloodline. So I've always liked the whole Norse mythology thing for that reason. I connect with it a lot more. And I've actually got like a Ragnarok tattoo that I want to get started on. I've got like a concept for it. I want to put it on my leg, just a big concept piece. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing like Thor. I'm looking forward to seeing Skoll and Hati, like the wolves. Fenrir might be in there. I want to see how they bring the Ragnarok situation to life, because I don't think are there any video games that kind of have like a Ragnarok thing going on? Like there's obviously a post of like apocalyptic and stuff like that, but I can't think of a game that plays out Ragnarok. I really want to see what that looks like.
Just doing a quick look. There is a game called Ragnarok Online. I don't know. I don't know what that is.
That's
an
an
MMO.
MMO. It does not count.
Does not count. I've heard of that. Now that you mentioned it, I've heard of that one too.
I just searched the name Ragnarok in the game database to see what will come up.
But I'm excited to see how like Kratos kind of fucks with that, because he always kind of fucks with like the gods and the myth of it all. Like it's really cool and creative the way they kind of like it's like a self-insert. He just kind of goes in there and like kills a couple people, and then like the narrative changes and the story changes, and you don't really know how Ragnarok's going to end up in that narrative and that context, because Kratos is in there just kicking shit in and like killing all these dudes that are super important to that story. And I'm excited to see how he fucks up Ragnarok. But yeah, no, back to the gameplay part of that though. I hope they introduce a lot more interesting types of weapons and types of combo systems and stuff like that. I don't know. I think changing it at this late in the game is not going to happen. But I don't know. I feel like I might be the only person who holds that opinion, coming off of the type of games that I do play.
Well, I would say that the first 4 games, I guess, they were all sort of like faux stylish action games. Like they had sort of like
they're button mashy.
The window dressing of stylish action games, but were not really that. You know what I mean? They were very button mashy. They were very like I would say that I think the combat in the 2018 game is it's a very, very big change up from those games.
Better, yeah.
It's slower, more deliberate. It's more Souls-like, if you want to use like that term. It's not really. It's just you use the shoulder buttons to attack. So it's like they kind of call it Souls-like combat. But
You can like throw the axe and like the shield, like the
Yeah.
dodging and the rolling and stuff kind of like adds a little bit more of a dimension to it.
and I don't want to sell that short, because throwing the axe and it coming back to you is like one of the most satisfying things
Satisfying.
you
It
could
feels
ever do in a
chunky,
video
right?
game. Yeah, it feels
Yeah.
very chunky the way he catches it. You can feel the weight. It's one of those things where, you know, a lot of times you experience games and game design, and like you can, you know, when you play a lot of games, you start to kind of like see how systems work a little bit, and you can sort of like say like, oh, this is cool, like this feels nice, this feels good. I have no, and you can kind of understand things. I have no understanding of how they're able to make the axe feel like something. You know, it feels like something, and I'm sure it's a combination of animation and, you know, the way that like the timing when you hit the button and how the character animates and reacts. But I don't know what they do, but like the way they do, it's just one of those things where it's just so satisfying.
I wonder if they're gonna build in haptics like with the new controller
I'm sure they will.
for like the axe throwing. That'd be cool.
Oh my god, that's gonna be so
Wouldn't
good.
that be sick?
Yeah.
And like just imagine how good it's gonna feel to throw the hammer
Oh,
and it come
it
back,
comes back.
and like you're gonna feel that. Yeah, I definitely think like because God of War, like you can play it as like a hack and slash. It's just that 90% of the gameplay doesn't require you to do that. It's
Mhm.
literally only when you're fighting the Valkyries in those games.
Yeah.
They were
And that is
hard.
when it's
I'll give you
like
that.
it is like you just axe slam, switch to Blaze of Chaos. Like
Yeah.
that's when you get into the hack and slash stuff because you're just fighting for your life at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And like there's videos of like people doing like insane stuff that like I'm like, yes, that's a hack and slash playstyle right there. But I think just 90% of you just running around and playing the story of God of War just doesn't require that of you. And
No.
so
No.
Like there were
it's
some
like,
parts
yeah.
of that game that were difficult. Like you had to be a
Mhm.
little bit smarter about
Yeah.
where you positioned yourself and like how you canceled like spells or how you used Atreus in the combat to assist you and stuff like that. You have to be smarter, but that doesn't mean it's any less flat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know, but they're fun. They're fun and they're bombastic and they're ridiculous, and I can't wait for him to just pick up the hammer, like you said, and be like, "You're not worthy," and just like,
Mhm.
you know, like let's go. Just,
Yeah.
I want to see how that goes. I think it's going to be really, really interesting. And like I said, I the self insert of it all, he doesn't feel like he belongs there, and I think that's part of the charm because
Yeah.
like he just ruins everything. It's so good.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So we got some lists from our listeners. Uncle Grun says God of War Ragnarok, Soul Hackers 2, and Persona 5 Royal PS5, but not until it's cheaper since it doesn't have an upgrade path. I would pay up to $20 for this upgrade.
It's so specific. I love
It's
it.
a very Grun. It's a very Grun answer.
Very.
Spartan Wolf says God of War Ragnarok, Gotham Knights, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 only for the campaign. Honorable mentions Pokemon Scarlet Violet. Now all I need is a PS5 to actually enjoy playing them.
Good luck. They actually raised the price.
You
for
can
the
play
PS5. I don't think in the States, but
all of those games on a PS4 though, I believe.
oh really? Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think, you know, Call of Duty is still cross-gen, right?
I didn't know Ragnarok was cross-gen.
Yeah, Ragnarok is
It's
cross-gen.
gonna
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be like one of the last ones.
Yeah, I
Like,
think so too. It was the
Yeah.
Ragnarok thing is one of the hilarious things where at the beginning of this generation, Microsoft was like, all of our games for the next couple years, you can play on the Xbox One, you can play on the Xbox Series X and S. And Sony was like, yeah, not for us. We believe in generations. We believe in separating generations. And then all of their games,
Some really good
except
Jim
for
Ryan
except for
impersonation.
except for the Demon Souls remake and Returnal, everything else is PS4, PS5. Everything else is PS4, PS5, which is just
I think they
ridiculous.
recognized that like no one was able to get their damn console.
It's absolutely true, but it's just hilarious to me, like the hubris aspect of it, then being like, well, actually,
We take it back. We lied.
yeah,
Yeah.
You want to take the next one, Cody?
Yeah, from our friend Hugh. He
Mhm.
has God of War Ragnarok, Return to Monkey Island,
Good one.
and Gotham Knights. I don't know what this Return to Monkey Island game is, but people are talking about it left and right
You don't
on
know?
every podcast I listen to.
You don't know what Monkey Island is?
No, I do not.
Okay. I mean, Monkey Island is even like a little bit like old for me.
Okay.
But it was a LucasArts, I think it was LucasArts, adventure game.
Okay.
it was, you know, in that same time as like Maniac Mansion and Day of the Tentacle and what the fuck is that one called with the like the afterlife, which I can't remember right now. Grim Fandango, like all of those type of games.
Yeah.
There was like basically two people were making games at that time. There was Ron Gilbert who co-made Maniac Mansion with oh my god, the Double Fine guy, which my brain Tim Schafer.
Yeah.
Tim Schafer. They made that game together, Maniac Mansion, and then they basically split off and did like different shards of adventure games for LucasArts. Tim Schafer made Grim Fandango, Day of the Tentacle, those games, and he made these Monkey Island games, and then made some other ones as well. The series basically, he made 3 of them or 2 of them. Then he left LucasArts, and they kept making games, and he went off and made his own games. And now he's coming back and being like, doing kind of like the, okay, like this is really a sequel to Monkey Island 2, which was the last one he made, even though there's like 6 Monkey Island games. You know, he's basically like, forget about those ones. This is a sequel to the last one I made. And it's crazy because he's the creator of it, and no one ever thought he'd ever come back to it. So for a subset of people who are like my age and older, like it's a very big deal, essentially.
Okay.
But it's the same art. The art team is the people who made like Severed. Same art team like that game Severed. A couple of the Drinkbox games or whatever. They're doing the art for this, which is pretty cool. Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, the old games are very funny. That's like the thing about it. They're very funny. I don't know if this is going to be funny. If you know, if all goes to plan, it should be. So that's what it is.
I would hope so. Return to form.
Yeah. You were the next one too, Cody.
So by Maverick, we got God of War Ragnarok, the Callisto Protocol, and Modern Warfare 2.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited for that Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah. Yep.
New game / remake.
I'm with Call of Duty. I'm never excited for it, but when it comes out, I will play it and have a good time for like a month or two and be like, yeah, this is fun. You, me, Justin, and Andy and Mark will play it for a month, and then somebody will get tired of it, and then nobody. Justin,
you're gonna fall
and
off.
then none of us will play it.
I was gonna say Modern Warfare 2 is like the best one, in my opinion, at least. So
the Call of Duty games, it's definitely up there for sure.
Yeah, it's up there
for sure.
And in Black Ops or
they're very close. The original Black Ops. The thing they did, of course, this is the new game. This is the sequel to the 2019 Modern Warfare. So it's, you know, obviously it's not really a remake. It's like a new game, but just because we live in a hell world of IP, we've gotten back to just calling things by. It's a 12-year-old game, guys. Like we don't. It's not time to do it again. You know, but the one thing they did in that original Modern Warfare 2 that they never did again was that fucking Spec Ops mode. It was so good. It was the co-op mode where it was like you and a friend, and you could do these like missions. And like one of you would be like in the fucking bomber, and the other one would be on the ground, and you'd be like, okay, you got to take out this house because there's somebody in there. It was so good. When you be in a chopper, like on a gun, and like that like suburban map or whatever, you know, like following people around. And they never did it again. They would call things Spec Ops, and they would always be terrible. It would always be terrible.
Just a clone.
They would always just be like 4-player, like wave-based modes, basically.
That's horde mode.
It would be a horde mode essentially, and it was just like, this is not what this was. You want to take the next 2, Sky?
Sure. So Spirit Guide said, at the time of posting, Saints Row is already out, but he hasn't played it yet. So I'd love to know, Spirit Guide, if you've played Saints Row and what your thoughts are, because apparently it just didn't review well.
No.
So, but they installed it. So again, I'm hoping we can hear from that. Tales from the Borderlands 3 or
2.
Tales from 2.
It's just called New Tale from the Borderland. That's what it's called.
Yeah. Okay. So I've actually never played those ones. I'm excited to see how it goes. I love the original Borderlands, so. And then the Resident Evil DLC is also on Spirit Guide's list. That's gonna be a fun one as well.
Yeah. The original Tales from the Borderlands is the best thing that's ever been Borderlands. Like
100%.
The original Tales from the Borderlands. It's so good. I don't know if this one.
Oh, see, I haven't played those. I thought you were talking about the original.
No. Like, I mean, I like Borderlands, but the story stuff always drove me fucking nuts and all the voice acting. And Tales from Borderlands was a Telltale game, so it was like a adventure game. So good, so well written. I am a little bit nervous about this new one because it's in-house at Gearbox is making it. They said they brought in people from the original Telltale because the Telltale is scattered to the wind now, but they brought people in to work on it. But I don't know.
Oh, hopefully it's good.
Anything Randy Pitchford has his dirty little hands on, I'm a little bit suspect of. Sorry, Sky. Next person.
So Megs said Gotham Knights as well. Another return to Monkey Island and another Soul Hackers 2. I'm actually curious about Soul Hackers. I've never played one, but they look like fun.
They look like JRPG nonsense.
I know. That's me. That's all me. Baby, let's go. So I'm gonna look into that because like I'm into it. So that it looks good.
From 1D34 Pixel, RPG Maker Unite, Modern Warfare 2, and Tactics Ogre Reborn. And says she says he's probably not to see Splatoon 3 on any lists.
That is surprising.
Yeah. Justin says Modern Warfare 2, God of War Ragnarok, and Mario and Rabbids 2 Sparks of Hope. And you want to take the last one, Cody?
Yeah. Sam said A Plague Tale Requiem, Callisto Protocol, Dark Pictures Anthology, The Devil in Me.
That's a
spooky
Sam
stuff.
ass list right there.
That's awesome.
She loves A Plague Tale.
A Plague Tale's awesome.
I haven't played A Plague Tale yet. I have it downloaded on
my
Xbox, but I haven't played it. I'm gonna want to
new
play
one
it.
Looks great.
Yeah, it does.
Like the trailer alone looks really fascinating and well made. So
yeah. I also don't understand how many people work at Supermassive Games because they put out The Quarry earlier this year, and now Dark Pictures Anthology, The Devil in Me is also coming out this year. So that's 2 games in a year from that studio. So that's nuts.
Well, they must not be particularly difficult games to make, I guess. I don't know.
Making both of those?
Yeah.
I thought they were different people.
No. Nope. Supermassive.
Why did I think that was different studios? Okay. All right. Yeah, that's crazy. But those Dark Picture anthologies are like really short usually.
That's what I mean. They were like
they
8 hours tops.
They are like 8 hours.
But they also have like that wonderful technology that makes actors look like video game characters.
Yes, yeah, they do.
So yeah,
I'm sure they perfected their like pipeline because they've made a lot of these games at this point, and they make one of these every year. But usually they make one Dark Pictures game a year. This year they have another game, and I know that The Quarry was in production for a while before this year. Originally, it was supposed to be a Stadia game. Apparently, like Google, like Google was like, okay, you're gonna be one of our exclusive games. And then when they shuttered like Stadia development, they had to find a new publisher. And that's when 2K came in and decided to publish the game. So yeah, but it's cool. It's fascinating the sort of like niche they've carved out for themselves in this world. Because before Until Dawn came out, people were like, this game is going to be a disaster because it had taken forever to come out. It had been it was supposed to be a PlayStation Move game when it was concepted.
I had no idea.
Yeah, it was a PlayStation Move game that supposed to be one of the big like games from that like peripheral, and then that didn't take off, so they kind of like pulled it back and we're like, okay, this is not gonna be a motion control game. We've got to sort of like work on it and like obviously change up the control scheme and also like up the look of it a little bit and everything like that. And because if you look at the original like footage from the game, it doesn't look nearly as good as the thing that came out. And then it came out and it was such a sensation when it came out. But nobody was making games like that, so it's just crazy that they got that deal with Namco Bandai to make Bandai Namco to make those Dark Pictures games.
It's Monday night.
Yeah. And it's just like they've just been on a roll since then.
Yeah. I was gonna say Until Dawn was awesome.
Until Dawn's amazing.
I remember I played it in one sitting with like 2 of my friends over, and we were freaking out. Like, stressful.
It's great. It's
I have not played The Quarry, but like I want to.
It's good.
It's good? Okay.
Yeah, it's good. I still don't think they've ever hit like the Until Dawn like peak. Like I think they came out of the gate so strong with that one. But The Quarry is the closest thing to Until Dawn that they've made since then. Like it is a teen horror thing that's like kind of schlocky, has like, the same sort of like what's supernatural and what's not like type of like vibe that Until Dawn had.
Keeps you guessing.
Yeah. But I would say unlike Until Dawn, where it was like a magic trick where like really some of those characters really couldn't die except for like at one point in that story. Like the Hayden Panettiere character really could only die at the end, even though they made you feel like she could die at multiple times. In The Quarry, there is like a million places for these characters to die, and multiple chances for them to die in the same sequence. Like not just like one place where if you mess it up, like there are times where like, okay, she's running away. If you mess up any one of these things, she's going to get killed. Basically, it's like
so stressful.
Yeah. I mean, you don't know it obviously when you're doing it, but after I played it and I looked it up, I was like, man, this is very easy to mess up.
So my story with Until Dawn is I love the game so much, but I had a janky PS4 controller that would like act like it was vibrating when it wasn't. And so at the last sequence where it's like, hold still so the Wendigo doesn't get you, Hayden Panettiere, my janky controller vibrated and the Wendigo just killed me right then and there.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
I had gotten all the way through the game, was like, I'm saving this character. Like I want her to live. Not knowing that like
she was one of the like least insufferable characters. There were some bad ones in that one. Like I was like, oh, I don't even want to help some of these guys. I just want them to die.
That's literally the only point in the game where she can die, is that moment where she dies there.
So bummed.
That's crazy. So just really quickly, September, we've got Splatoon 3, we talked about last week, is coming out on September 9th. Obviously a big one. Oh, actually, Cody, you mentioned you had honorable mentions. Do you want to just list those off really fast?
I was gonna say Splatoon 3 is one of my honorable mentions. Okay. I think it's just one of those games that like, it's not like something you're like hyped for. It's just like, it's a game I'm gonna play. Like it's just fun to play. Pokemon Scarlet Violet. I'm interested to see how they take the Legends of Arceus stuff that they did earlier this year, and if they incorporate it into this game, which it looks like they kind of are. They're kind of giving that like open world Pokemon game a real shot this time, which is great because that's what like everyone wants out of a Pokemon game.
Will it look better than Arceus though, which looks like a PS2 game?
I mean, it was fun,
like
but it was definitely not great. You're not wrong.
A PS3 game. I don't want to be unfair.
I was like, PS2 is really bad.
Yeah, it would be really bad.
And then World of Warcraft Dragonflight is supposed to launch this year. I'm very excited because you get to be a dragon. So
no Overwatch 2, Cody.
Oh, I forgot that was coming out. Gotta be honest.
I don't
October 4th
because it's just a multiplayer launching.
What else do you care about?
I really want to play the single player stuff. Yeah, like that's
when that actually comes out, let's see. I have a feeling they're gonna quietly be like, I don't know, like it'll come out whenever, and then I'll just kind of like push it out one day.
That game is such a weird, just kerfluffle of nothingness at this point.
You're Mr. Overwatch, Cody.
So weird.
I know. I'm excited for it. I mean, I've pre-ordered it to play the beta, so like I'm in. I wouldn't play it on controller. I am bad at mouse and keyboard. And
Same here, bro. Same
to play the beta and mouse and keyboard was terrible. Like I only played Moira because it auto locked on all of her attacks, and I was like, okay, thank God.
I have an honorable mention too.
What is it?
Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core.
It's not coming out this year. It's not coming out this year.
Where does it Crisis Core?
It's not coming out this year.
Come on.
It's not coming out this year.
Oh, and Callisto Protocol, I'm very excited for it.
Me too. Yeah.
I've never played a Dead Space, so I'm excited to.
It'll be a good month for you then, Cody, because you can play that and then you can play Dead Space remake.
Yeah, right. So I'm excited.
Yeah,
you get the best of both worlds right after each other.
Just like Miley Cyrus.
If that Lies of P game ends up coming out this year,
no, it's next year.
I am so hyped for that game.
It's next year. It's
next year.
2023. Okay. They've already said 2023.
There's another one I also almost put on this list, and then I realized it was a 2023 launch, and it was I think it's called Red Dawn. The one with the vampires. I think it's called Redfall. Thank you.
Yeah,
another good. Yeah, that's another good.
Redfall. Yeah. What the hell is Red Dawn?
It's a 80s action movie where Russians invade America. The remake was Koreans in America. The Chris Hemsworth remake.
It's a repressed memory, I guess. For
Wasn't
me.
it?
Came out.
Chris Hemsworth?
The vampire one looks like fun.
Yeah,
It's like Left 4 Dead with vampires. Like I'm down.
Yeah.
Who was in the remake of Red Dawn?
Hemsworth. Wasn't it Chris Hemsworth?
It was a Hemsworth brother.
Maybe that's why.
Is it Liam or Chris?
Oh.
I don't know.
Liam
I gotta
Hemsworth.
look it up now. I gotta look it up now.
Yeah.
You have to tell me because
look
that
it
might
up
be
now.
why I thought about it.
The original one was Patrick Swayze and
Yeah.
it was
I mean-
all the big 80s
R.I.P.
folks. C. Thomas Howell.
Okay.
It was definitely
probably
Chris
seen it.
Hemsworth was definitely Chris Hemsworth. Yeah.
Ooh,
Josh Peck.
okay. This is
Josh Peck.
This
That's what
was
I'm
why
thinking of.
I thought of it because like hotties with bodies.
Josh Hutcherson. Adrian Palicki. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
This is all adding up.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan was in it apparently.
I love him.
Yeah. So there you go.
There you go.
I was like Red Dawn. I was like
Red Dawn. They're making a video game of Red Dawn.
It was called, what was that game called? Homefront. That was
I was saying the Homefront game, right?
Homefront was
Homefront.
Red Dawn. It was Red Dawn the video game basically.
Oh
And
my
they sold it
God.
because it was
That game's
written by
bad.
the same guy. John Milius wrote Red Dawn and he also wrote Homefront.
Okay.
Oh well, there you go.
Homefront,
Interesting.
a terrible video game.
Yeah.
So bad. And the sequel was even worse.
Holy shit.
Let's see what else is coming out in October. We've got Scorn, that H.R. Geiger like sort of like body horror but kind of horny
Oh, that was so gross.
video game with the wall
Ooh.
penises. Let's see what else. We mentioned Resident Evil. Let's see, November we've got Harvestella, which is from Square Enix. It's like a sort of like a Stardew Valley-ish sort of
The RPG version of
RPG
it.
version of it. Yeah. Skull and Bones is coming out in November, apparently. Sonic Frontiers, as we mentioned. Let's see. Pentiment, which is almost on my list, is November 15th, which is that game from Josh Sawyer, the guy guy who wrote Fallout New Vegas, or one of the people who worked on Fallout New Vegas. He's doing it. It's like that sort of looks like Renaissance art. It's like a murder mystery game.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it was at the Xbox showcase.
We've definitely talked about it then.
Yeah. Goat Simulator 3. Let's see. Warhammer 40K Darktide comes out in November. That's coming on
I've heard
Game
good things
Pass.
about that.
Yeah. That's I only played, what was that one that was the one that was like that but was the regular Warhammer?
Vermintide.
Vermintide 2. I played a little bit of that and liked it.
Yeah, I played that just like a month ago, and I've really enjoyed it.
And in December, we're very late in December, but High on Life is to come out. The Justin Roiland talking gun shooter.
Oh,
Talking
yeah,
guns. I'm interested in that.
Did you watch the opening night live gameplay demo that they showed where they with the boss fight?
So Rick
Bits
and
and
Morty.
pieces?
It was one of the worst showings for a game I have ever seen.
Oh,
really?
God, that's
Yeah.
a bad endorsement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I have no feelings on like Justin Roiland either way. Like I don't watch Rick and Morty, but I'm not one of those people who's like, I hate Rick and Morty. I'm not one of those people. But the humor and the actual gameplay, which looked slow and sort of very basic, and like just not very kinetic, it did not like play well at all.
Brutal. I'll have to look that up.
In there, yeah,
That's a
watch
shame.
it. It's just not great. That Atomic Heart game is supposed to come out this year, which is like that like really insane looking. It looks sort of like Outer Worlds, Fallout sort of thing,
Yeah.
but it's got like insane imagery. You should watch the trailer if you haven't seen it. First person shooter, looks like it looks like it's gonna be cool.
Is Starfield this year?
No, Starfield's next year. They delayed that.
Oh my
till
gosh.
next year.
Okay. Wow. So many delays.
And it's early next year, so it should be in the. I think it should be in the first quarter of next year.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm looking at the non-release date stuff. Well, on the non-release dates, Crisis Core is on here on this Game Informer list. Let's see. I think there's that Dune. Not the MMO they just announced, but the
Is
strategy
it Dune
game.
MMO?
Yeah, they announced it at.
They announced it, yeah.
How is that gonna work? That's
an
interesting.
open-
It's like a survival.
MMO.
Okay.
I think it's the same people who made that Conan game.
Yeah.
Which people seem to like. I have no idea. It's not my world.
Some weird
No, me
people
neither, dude.
like that game.
Some weird
So,
people like that game. Okay, I know there was a lot of Dong in it. A lot of Conan.
There's a lot of things
Yeah,
going
yeah,
next that
yeah,
you
yeah.
don't want to see.
Yeah.
Wow.
Goodbye Volcano High is supposed to come out this year.
Yeah, sure.
Which I don't have any idea if it's actually going to come out or not this year. Looks great, but who knows? Let's see anything else on here that seems interesting. That Lego Bricktales game, which they like just announced, which looks like a lot of fun. It's like a Lego puzzle adventure game thing.
Okay.
It looks sort of like that Lego game that came out last year, the one where the sad dad Lego game, Lego Builder Story or whatever. It looks kind of like that, but
Yeah.
less serious than that. Let's see. I think that's basically it as far as like stuff that is actually supposed to come out this year.
Yeah, like notable stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there's the Outlast Trials.
It's
I think is
hard.
supposed to come out this year. I am not a big Outlast fan, so I don't really have a much of a sort of clock on that. Valheim is supposed to come to console this year, so we'll see what happens with that. It's supposed to be a Game Pass as well, so we'll see.
It would do well
that'll
on
be good
Game
for it.
Pass. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll do great on
Yeah.
Game Pass. Witchfire is supposed to come out this year, at least in early access.
Ooh.
I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but some stuff, you know, is coming. And there's always like indie stuff that will pop up that will end up being big hits, you know. But as far as stuff that's on the books, that's what we know of right now. All right, so what games are you guys most excited for? Leave it in the comments below. Leave it on our socials at @side_quests pod. And yeah, I will not be here next week for the show. So Sky and Cody are going to be running the ship. I don't think you guys have settled on a topic yet for next week, but
You know, I was thinking we do like a poll. Like
Okay.
we sit down and kind of think about a couple topics, and we like put a poll up in the Discord, and
I like
we'll
it.
just go from there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like
So
it.
our Discord is also linked in the descriptions of all of our
Yes.
audios, our archives, everything like that. So if you want to join the Discord and submit a suggestion or, you know, take part in the poll,
Mhm.
we have a good community there. So
Yeah, absolutely. Real quickly, I mentioned Immortality is coming out tomorrow when we're recording this, but tomorrow also Inscription comes to PlayStation and PlayStation comes to console.
That's awesome.
Uh,
Guys, Inscription is so good. Play Inscription.
amazing game. If you haven't played it yet because you don't have a PC or whatever, get it. It's
Now's
amazing.
the time.
Now's the time. Oof, one of the best games I've ever played.
So good.
And Tinykin also comes out tomorrow, which is like that Pikmin sort of inspired game, which takes place it's like little person, big world type of thing. It comes out on Game Pass, but it also comes out on PlayStation 4 and Switch and PC. Getting really good reviews. So that's something that I'm looking forward to as well. All right, so I think it's time to roll for topic. Every week we have a fun list of topics that we can kind of answer off the top of our heads. And we roll a die to see what we're gonna get. Sky's got her beautiful D20 in front of her, and she's gonna roll it up and tell us what we're talking about.
So like this is my bag of dice. Like I have a lot of dice.
Mhm.
This one's a pretty lavender color.
Okay.
Let's see if I can get it there.
It
Okay,
looks
got it in the
yes.
frame.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. So okay, let's big money. Let's go. So we got an 8. That's not big money. But let's
Okay.
see what's on the list. What stupid things did you believe as a child?
Okay.
That's tough.
So this is kind of a I guess a meme one right now, but it is very true. When I was a child, every other movie or cartoon or whatever had characters being endangered by quicksand, and I deeply believed as a child that I was gonna have to deal with quicksand in ways in my life. Like I really thought it was going to be a big problem in my life as a child
You
because
and
God.
John Mulaney.
yeah, did John Mulaney, is that a John Mulaney joke? I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
I do love John Mulaney. I'm surprised I did not know that. I really did think it was going to be a bigger problem in my life. It was because at my age, I don't know if it's the same way anymore. I don't know, but like there was a lot of quicksand in cartoons and in movies.
It's amazing.
Characters were always falling into
Yeah,
quicksand. And so I really thought it was going to be a problem for me in my life. And it wasn't. I've never experienced it before. So.
Let's knock on some wood. Hope you never do.
I don't know.
Oh my
Yeah, right.
God.
But recently, like it's not quicksand, but it reminded me of it when I watched Prey, the new
Yeah.
Predator movie. there's a quicksand-like thing in it.
Mhm.
I
Like
just
a
watched that
bog.
movie yesterday. It is so
It's
good.
so
It's
good.
excellent.
Like,
It's so good.
love it.
Oh my god, it's so good. I could talk about Prey forever. It's so fucking good.
Yeah.
But that's mine.
Okay.
Quicksand.
Do you want to go next, or do you want me to do it?
Yeah, go Sky. Yeah, go.
Okay, cool. I used to believe my old house was like mega super haunted.
Mm.
So I'm not
Mm.
like, so I moved out of my old house when I was 8, turning 8. So I've lived in my new house for a little over like 21 years now, like 21, 22 years. Anyways, I used to like not be able to sleep in my house. I used to have like feelings that I was being touched at night and lifted and stuff like that. And I know it's all in my head because I don't believe in ghosts.
Mhm.
I don't believe in any of that shit.
Mhm.
But I never got a night of sleep in that house. And the minute we moved out, I was like, "Oh, the demons are gone. We can sleep in the new house." And I've never had a sleeping issue since. So when I was a kid, my house was haunted. Okay. So that's the stupid thing that I believed in. And I don't know. So part of me still feels like it probably was. So
Sky just told us that
100%.
her childhood was actually a horror movie, but it's like,
Yeah, right.
like I'm looking over my shoulder in this like dark ass room right now, and I'm
Yeah,
just like
right.
I'm so uncomfortable right now. Like, oh, thinking about it freaked me out. Yeah, but
I do believe in ghosts.
oh, do
So
you? Oh,
100% think you, yeah. And I lived next to a graveyard growing up, and so I saw some freaky shit.
what the fuck?
It's a church. There's a church next door, and
Oh my
they
god.
have a graveyard for where like people are buried. So my stupid thing I believed as a kid was that if people like disappeared from my life, was that they died. And so I had a best friend in kindergarten who just one day disappeared, and I remember crying the next day because I thought he died. And then I got like to age 10 and I asked my mom about him, and she's like, "He moved to Kentucky, Cody." And I was like 5 years thinking my best friend had died just hit me. And
That's so traumatizing. What the
oh yeah, I mean, like as a kid, I was like, I was messed up for weeks. Like I
oh
was
my
like, oh my god,
god.
he's dead. Because like I saw him every. Like, you go to pre-K and you see this kid every day for 3 months, and then he just disappears. He's dead. He's got to be. You know. So.
Like we didn't pick normal things like
Mhm.
Santa
Oh god.
Claus or like the Tooth Fairy. Like we went for the quicksand and the
Yeah.
ghosts. And,
Well, I mean, like the
like
Tooth
dead people and
Fairy
shit.
and Santa Claus are like
The classic, right?
you know, are like falsehoods that are brought are foisted upon you by people that you trust. It's not
Yeah.
something that you develop on your own believing. You know what I
Oh my
mean?
gosh.
My parents very quickly were like, Santa Claus is not real for the
Mm.
Me,
record.
me too. That
And
was done for me
I
fast.
got in trouble in like first grade for telling other
telling
kids.
poor unsuspecting children that Santa Claus isn't real. Come on.
I mean,
You heathen.
yeah, and like my teacher like pulled me aside, was like, "Listen, you can't be telling kids that." And I was like, "Oh, sorry about it."
I used to find my gifts in the closet, and then they used to be under the tree as like from Santa, and I was like, I'm on to you guys.
So the Santa Claus doesn't live here year round. What's going on?
Where is he? Is he the ghost that's
Yeah.
touching me at night? Like what's happening?
Yeah.
Creepy.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah. Alejandro says in the chat, you need to do some more treasure hunting, Bobby, to knock quicksand off the bucket list. It's true.
Oh,
It's true.
Most of the time it was treasure hunting that got these people in trouble. Yeah, that was definitely the stupidest thing. So anybody who's listening, let us know what were the stupid things that you believed when you were a kid. Discord, socials, in the comments below on this video. Leave them for us.
I'm so excited to find out what those answers are. They gotta be hilarious.
Me too.
Oh my
Absolutely. All right, so obviously we don't have the answer for our meta game yet from last week, which is what's going to sell more in the month of September. Neither of those games have launched yet, but it's another week, so we have another one. We're going to predict the critics again, like we did with Cult of the Lamb. This one is for The Last of Us Part 1, which is coming out in just a couple of days. We're going to try to guess the open critic score for The Last of Us Part 1. And just so we have all the info here, let's see, Last of Us. Let's see what the scores are.
Check the remaster from 2014. I think we should go off that score.
Yes, I'll look right now.
yeah, because I think the original was like
It's super high.
4.8 out of
Yeah.
5.
Well,
It was, like, very high
The Last of Us
score.
Remastered is a 94 average.
That's so surprising to me.
Why?
What do you mean why?
Because it's one
It
of
was
those.
on
I mean,
It's like one of the most
It's
popular
the same
games of all
game
time.
with like some varnish, you know? Like,
Yeah, but you could play it on the PlayStation 4. You couldn't play it on the PS4
oh,
before
gasp.
that.
at the time, PlayStation 4 was nice.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't play
Annoying.
it. There was no backwards compatibility at the time, so you couldn't play
Yeah.
Last of Us, the PS3 version on the
And
PS4.
it was like bundled with a lot of PS4s because when I got my PS4, it was bundled with it.
Really?
Yeah,
The Last of Us Part 2 was a 93 on Open
that's a
Critic.
shocking one here.
That's interesting.
And then I think actually this doesn't have The Last of Us
the original.
on Open Critic. I can see what it was on Metacritic.
Yeah, it was like everything I was looking at was like 4.8
Pretty
out of
dang
5.
high.
Like,
I'm sure it's
pretty,
crazy
like,
high, right? I'm sure it's crazy
Yeah.
high. Last of Us. The Last of Us was a 95. So the same score. Last of Us The Last of Us Remastered 95s, The Last of Us Part 2 93. So it's basically 95s and 93s for the series. So pretty
I'm interested
pretty high.
to know what you guys think.
Cody, you want to go first?
I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go with 80.
80.
That's low.
That's
wow. Okay,
So
explain.
here's where I'm coming from.
Real
Here's where I'm coming
Okay,
from.
explain.
As I said,
Explain
last week we were
yourself.
discussing Splatoon versus which was going to sell more. I just think I think The Last of Us is like overstayed its welcome. I think after they remastered the first one, I do not think they should have continued with part 2. I don't really think it needs a TV show because like the thing that makes Last of Us so good is that it's a video game and like you're experiencing it yourself. And I just don't see a lot of people being happy about paying $70 for some souped up graphics that, in my opinion, don't look that good. So yeah.
Cody's bringing the fire on The Last of Us.
Yeah.
Hell
right now.
yeah.
So I think it's gonna get like an 80. And that's being nice. I was gonna say 70.
Okay.
Holy crap.
All right. Sky.
I'm gonna say an 89. So I'm not going into 90s territory. I don't think it's quite there, especially because they took away the multiplayer component. So
Yeah,
it's the
Ashes
same
was good.
fucking. It's the 2014 remaster with a new paint, new varnish coat. That I think again I find this whole thing really unnecessary. But why would you take a feature away? Why would you give us?
Fun.
That's what I mean. Why would you take a feature away? You're giving us an inferior product now from the 2014.
There's
in my opinion.
2 reasons why. Well, was the multiplayer in remastered?
Yes. Yeah.
It was okay.
That's where I played it.
I'm literally asking because I have no idea.
Yeah,
I have never had any interest in any Naughty Dog multiplayer mode, so I don't know.
Oh, dude.
Oh, Uncharted 2 is so fun.
I know that they're
Factions
good.
is fun.
I know that they're
Dude.
good. I just don't care about their multiplayer modes.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
That's not why I play their games. I don't like even like I recognize that The Last of Us Part 2 is a really well playing video game, like the actual like shooting mechanics and everything. It's the last thing I care about in any of their games. All I care about is the story. It's like the combat to me is like the stuff you do in the middle in between when you get the pretty cutscenes or whatever. Like that's what it is for me. I'm gonna say 90. For me, I think like I don't disagree with what either of you are saying. But I think what both of you are more talking about is what the public reception is going to be to The Last of Us, the price, the whatever. For critics, it's a different story. You're getting critics don't deal with games in the same way as, a person buying the game at GameStop does, right? So I think the game I think you'll see a lot of reviews that are like, I don't know if it's worth $70. I don't like, and it doesn't have the multiplayer mode. And that's why it's not going to get a 94 or a 95, like the original game did. But I just feel like it's a Sony first party game. Like their games just do not score low. Like they just don't. Like I can't. And Sky, obviously you're at 89. We're very close on our guesses here.
You just like one upped me like the Price is Right rules.
I know. Well, I was
I bid $1.
But I did have 90 in my head the whole time. It wasn't based on either one of
Totally
your guesses.
Totally fair. It's interesting that you say that. I think Sony can use a little bit of like a shave on its ego. So I think this might, if this pops in their face a little, they might come down from their high and start giving more of a shit. So,
I mean, they wouldn't have made this if the demand for it wasn't there. Like the
I disagree.
I don't know about that.
I understand this like coolness towards The Last of Us. I totally understand it. I also feel it. I do not. I thought The Last of Us Part 2 was kind of bad. So like I'm with you guys. The people who love The Last of Us love it with every single fucking fiber of their being. It is one of those things. It is one of those franchises that is just like ingrained in people. Like it's one of those things that like the love and feeling for it is so huge that I understand. Like I am with you guys on how you feel about it, but we are in the minority about how people feel about The Last of Us. Like,
Oh, that's so shocking. Because
yeah.
like everyone I know, no one's gonna touch this game for $70. Like they're not gonna even like if these people love this game. Like I love this game.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the original Last of Us. I cried
Mm-hmm.
when they put the giraffe on that screen and it was all like quiet and contemplative. I put the game down after that. I was like, I'm done for a bit. I need to go think about my life. I took a walk. I listened to some emo music. You know what I mean? Like that game, like it resonates with me too. Like I
Yeah.
love that game. But like I'm in the same boat as Cody. I don't think a sequel was necessary. The remaster I can forgive because it needed to show up on another console, and it still looked good. And I still think it looks good. I don't think it needs a remake. And like
No.
Cody said, I also don't think it looks very good. Like
I mean,
in terms of
guys,
it being a remake.
Guys,
Come on.
it looks good. Like I'm not like
Yeah, it looks muddy. Don't you
no,
think
it
looks
just
kinda
Yeah, I think
muddy?
it looks
look,
weird.
guys,
Yeah.
I don't think it needs a remake. I don't think it needs a
Yeah.
remake. It's a game that still looks good. You can still play it on the console in which it is coming out on. I think the remake, like fever, is like a little bit too crazy, like just in general. You know, this project itself was like one of these weird projects within the story of it is so weird within Sony because there was like this team that sort of like helped out on a lot of projects wanted to be like its own Sony first party studio. So they're like, let's show them we can do this. Let's on our kind of our own volition with like a Skunkworks team start remaking The Last of Us to kind of show them that we can be a big player. And they were remaking it, and like Sony was like, okay, you can make it. And then Naughty Dog was like, no, you're not gonna remake one of our games.
My game.
We're
yeah.
gonna take it back and we'll finish it off. Like we're not gonna waste the work. We'll finish it off. But like we're not gonna let you do this. So that was like a weird thing about it. But like it doesn't need a remake. I totally agree with you. All these things, but in a year where there's barely anything coming out, and like there's a TV show coming out that people are very excited for. People are very excited for that TV show. It is the reason. That's the reason why it was like and coming next year like featured thing in that HBO thing that they put out. Like it was the only thing they were like, look at this, guys, the fucking Last of Us. You know, like they were really pushing it. Like like I don't know like what it's gonna sell. Like I don't think it's gonna sell. It's not gonna be like, you know, God of War or anything like that. But like it's gonna sell a lot of copies, and I think it's still The Last of Us, right? So the way critics handle the way critics handle things is like people are gonna play it and they're gonna be like, it's still The Last of Us. It's still great. If you buy this game, yeah, like it's gonna cost you $70, but you're still gonna play what many people consider one of the best games of all time, right? So regardless of all the stuff we're talking about, you know, as far as like the kind of like meta narrative around The Last of Us, which I'm giving counterpoints to what you guys are saying, even though
Totally.
I agree with the things you are saying about The Last of Us completely. Justin and I had like a huge fight about this in our Game of the Year episode like 2 years ago, where where he wanted it on the top 10 and I was like fighting against it being on the top 10. But with a critic's review, I think they're gonna go like, okay, look, it's The Last of Us. Like, and there's only so bad a score you can give The Last of Us, unless it's broken. If the game is broken, then yes, it will get worse scores.
They are making some interesting like design choices with it that would piss some people off, I think, as well. Which is really interesting. Just I don't think it's like they're changing some stuff. They definitely are.
Well, yeah,
so.
they're definitely changing some stuff. I mean, they should change some stuff.
Mhm.
But the thing is, like, my biggest thing, just speaking from like a personal perspective on it, is if you're gonna do this, like if you're gonna charge $70 and you're gonna completely redo the visuals of the game, the thing you really need to fix is the underlying controls of the game, which they basically said they're not doing. Right? They're not going. They're not like, because it's not a project in which they had the time nor the budget given to them by Sony to like, because in order to do that, you have to basically go in and change the entire engine that the game is running on. Yeah, like the Last of Us Part 2 and The Last of Us Part 1.
Oh.
Like,
are you saying that they didn't remake it?
Well, they remade all the visuals.
I'm just
But is that, I mean, like, as much as we like to shit on The Last of Us 2, it did play good.
Yeah, it played
You
great.
know, it had great ideas.
It's a great playing game. It's also a great looking game.
If The Last of Us 1 played like The Last of Us 2 and had the same level of visual fidelity as The Last of Us 2, you know, I can make a case for it. But it's a whole lot of the same for me, so I just don't care.
Yes, I agree. I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. But a good reviewer, if they're a good reviewer, you know, your job as a reviewer is to look at the product you are given and review the thing you are given, not review
without a bias,
not necessarily a bias, but not review it for the thing you wanted it to be or it could have been. Like, that's kind of irrelevant to what you're trying to do as a critic, right? As a critic, it doesn't help anybody for you to say it should have been this, because like, okay, if wishes were horses, it's like you have to review the thing that's in front of you. And most of the people at the big outlets are pretty good at their jobs. Like, they're like, you can disagree with what they say sometimes, you can agree with what they say sometimes, but most of them are pretty good at their jobs and take their jobs seriously. And so that is why I think, and also there is just this thing, and this is the thing I don't like about, especially about video game criticism, is that there is like this weird arbitrary floor on how low the score of a game, a AAA game that looks good, can fall to. It's just the truth. The game, like, there can be games that are abysmally boring. Like the fact that what you hear people talk about with Saints Row, right, and how badly they talk about it, the fact that it's still like a 70 or whatever on Metacritic is just proof that like review scores are broken, because there's like sevens for AAA game is like an F. You know what I mean? It's like it's like as low as you can go. They don't use the whole scale. And so there's just, and especially with a Sony first party game, it's like I could be wrong, and guys, I hope I am wrong, but like I just feel like there's something like, well, I mean, it's The Last of Us. Like, I can't give it lower than a 9. You know, like, it's still, you know, and that's what I feel like is going to happen. You know what I mean? That's what I feel like is going to happen with The Last of Us.
Watch it come out and be broken.
If it's broken, it will get a worse
and
score.
It's broken.
Yeah.
I can totally, like, it's so up in the air. I can totally see that happening because of just the state of AAA games these days. A lot of them just come out broken.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
Sony doesn't usually put out broken games. Not usually. Like, their games will have issues sometimes. Like, speaking of God of War 2018, God of War 2018 had a bunch of like weird issues, especially with like its PS4 Pro version and stuff like that. And it was like it was proof that the consoles needed to go, because the console could barely handle running God of War. But they weren't bad enough problems where it was like, I can't play this game. And so like Sony usually avoids those things. So we'll see. Plus, it's running on the Last of Us engine, so there's only so many variances that it could possibly have.
Yeah.
It's true. Like, that's so embarrassing if it comes out totally busted. And it's like, how did you do this? You had to work hard to screw this up.
Yeah. And also, Naughty Dog never is shy about delaying their games if they need more time on them.
That's true.
They're the king of
it wasn't delayed at all, was it? Like, they had a firm date for it. And it came out,
they
like,
just announced it in July or whatever, June.
Oh, okay. So they were like, it was like gold by that point. And they were like, okay, it's coming out.
Yeah. So they didn't announce it till it was the game. Summer Games Fest is when they announced it. That's the Keighley.
Okay.
That's the Keighley they announced it at. Because Neil Druckmann came out and he was like, they did like that weird like, oh, I read the internet today like thing.
Oh gosh, a bit.
Oh, because they've been leaking like nonstop and all that. And
then they showed like pictures from the television show, and I was like, what is this? Like, what are we doing right now?
I will say, PlayStation, just remaster Bloodborne. That's all we want. you know? That's all we want.
That trends on Twitter like every 3 weeks.
I know.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. And I do want to say, just like, because I think we were very heavy on The Last of Us Part 2. If you enjoy that game, that is great. I think the three of us, like Bobby and Sky, you've played it.
Yes.
Mhm.
I have refused to play it just because
Oh,
I want that
wow.
story to. Last of Us Part 1 is my story. I don't want to
So
continue it.
so it's not okay. Technically, on like a technical standpoint, it's a good game. Like Bobby was
Mhm.
saying,
Yeah.
like a reviewer wouldn't give that a bad score because
Yeah.
technically speaking, it's relatively flawless. A lot of people just had an issue with the story. And
Yeah.
and what's weird about it is I had the opposite issues with that story because it changes perspective halfway through to the villain
Mhm.
of the story, and I thought that was the better half.
Oh, it's 100% the
I
better
didn't
half.
I didn't like the Ellie stuff.
Most,
I didn't care.
Sky, honestly, I think most people feel the way that we feel about the game as far as like what the character stuff you're talking about. I just feel
Yeah.
like the loudest people were very
Or they hate that character
Yeah.
for the wrong reasons. The wrong reasons.
And The Last of Us Part 2 falls into this thing where like, look, and like you said, Cody, like this is just I have a very strong feelings about The Last of Us Part 2 because I love The Last of Us Part 1. And also I think it speaks to the ambition of The Last of Us Part 2 that you can have as many opinions about it as I do, right? Like I have a lot of opinions about it because they went for a lot of things. I think they failed on a lot of those things. But they were going for stuff. So it's a interesting game to speak about in a real sort of deep way.
You're totally right in that way. Like we wouldn't be so passionate about it if we also, in some respects, didn't like it.
Yeah.
The fact that we like it and we're upset about it speaks to the fact that, you know, what they had there was good.
Yeah.
It just wasn't good enough.
Also, it's like 8 hours too long. That's the other
Oh,
part. It's
100%.
so long. But the other part of it is, but it falls in this camp of these things. This is a larger conversation, which is fine because we said we're going to talk about this kind of stuff. It falls into like that kind of Last Jedi like world where like there are legitimate criticisms of The Last of Us Part 2 and of The Last Jedi, but they're overshadowed by a bunch of toxic assholes who focus on stuff like, oh, the lady has big muscles, or there's an Asian character in this, and like, you know, are racist and misogynistic and fucking terrible. And so it becomes very difficult to talk about the games in like, or those kind of properties in any sort of like critical way, because I also don't want to I don't want to get into it because like, I don't want people on that side, that shitty side of the argument, to think I'm on their side because I'm not.
Yeah.
You know?
No, oh God, no.
All the reasons you dislike it are not the reasons I dislike it. You dislike it for like the stupidest possible
the
reasons.
wrongest reasons ever. It's so frustrating, Bobby.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy.
Ugh.
But anyway, I look forward to seeing the reaction to this and how people find it. It's one of those things where like I will play it when it comes on to like the PS Plus premium thing or whatever, you know, whenever
it's like you don't have to pay a dime for it.
whenever it comes on there, because I played
it.
The Last of Us, like I played it and I like it, and like I mean I loved it. I don't need to play. I don't need to spend $70 on a remake. So like that's the other thing about it. Also the Bloodborne thing, I feel like they don't want to do it without either from saying we'll do it, or from saying it's okay if you do it. Like just go ahead and do it. But I feel like they don't want to piss off like From Software, so they won't just do it on their own.
Well, I think they even said that they can't upscale it to 4K because the minute they do that, the whole engine breaks and like the game becomes unplayable.
Yeah.
So like to upscale it to 4K for a new system, it has to be a remake.
Yeah.
It can't be a remaster, and they're probably going to give it to Bluepoint.
Well, it's
Like,
not.
if that's the case.
I don't think it's the resolution. It's the frame rate.
It's the frame rate.
It's the 60
Something's wrong.
It's the
Something
frame
breaks
rate.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you just like if Sony did the thing they do to a lot of their other games, which is they kind of like brute force it into like a higher frame rate, you know, they do with their older games, they do sort of like that enhanced backwards compatibility thing. It would break it because the game's engine is only set to, if they doubled the frame rate, it would double everything. So it would double.
That's what happened.
Yeah, it would double
so
the damage.
there's actually somebody who played a cracked version of it at 60 FPS, and they were dying from poison because the poison was so like effective at 60 frames per second that like it depleted your health bar in like seconds.
But somebody
like
did get in there and like actually do a ton of work and like make it run at 60. They actually went in and tweaked the code and the engine, but you have to like crack your PS4 in order to do it or whatever. But I mean, I feel like it's got to happen at some point, right?
Totally.
Like,
I hope so. That'd be sick.
And it'll be on PC. That's the thing. Like, gotta bring it. They're like, there's so much money being left on the table. It not being on PC. It's like crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I didn't have any games that like this week that I really played that I really want to talk about. I don't think either of you guys have anything new you had played this week that you want to talk about. You're not talking about Destiny again, Cody. So get that look up.
Oh my God.
It's like I can talk about some Destiny stuff.
No.
Oh, here we go, Destiny.
No.
Cracks the fingers.
Yeah.
I'm a pirate. Excited.
No.
I finished Cult of the Lamb. That's pretty much it.
Oh, nice. Cool.
Yeah.
I haven't played.
I got
very
really
much
sick
so.
of my cult. They were pissing me off. So you have to like get 20 of them to end the game. So I was like, I'm just gonna blow through this. I got 20 of them. I finished the game. So
Yeah, I haven't really played anything this week. I've been really busy, so I haven't really got a chance to play much of anything. But so that's gonna do it then for our show. If you have made it to this part of the podcast, I'm hoping that means you enjoy it. So please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and rate us on whatever podcasting service you may use. The show should be on everything now, I believe, if Anchor is to be believed. So Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, like all the big services, and then all the services that sort of go off of those listings, like Overcast and stuff like that. We should be on all of those services. So just search for SideQuests on there. If you're watching the archive on YouTube, please remember to like this video, subscribe if you haven't, and share, and comment below about what are the stupidest things you believed as a child. Do you think The Last of Us Part 1 has got good review scores? All the big things. Look out for the poll that Cody and Sky are going to run about what they're going to talk about next week when I'm not here. You can check out our Discord. The link to Discord is linked in the description for the YouTube video, description for the podcast. It's in the About Us section on the Twitch channel. So anywhere that, make sure you join up there. You can find us across all social media at _quests_pod. And next week, like I said, look out for that poll, and then we'll announce during the week on socials what Cody and Sky are going to be talking about. But until our next quest, thank you, Cody.
Thank you, Sky.
thank you, Bobby.
And thank you to everybody who's been watching and listening. Until next time, be good to one another. Later.
Bye, everyone.